Hey everybody, and welcome to another Stukent Expert Session. Today we'll be hearing from Ryan Joos. Ryan is the owner and founder of Vulpine Marketing. He has years of digital marketing experience working in some of the most competitive markets and industries in America. He has spoken at several conferences and written for notable publications on the topics of local SEO, link building, brand development, and social media marketing. In early 2020, Ryan created Vulpine Marketing, a full-service digital marketing agency located in his hometown of Idaho Falls, Idaho. Ryan is an entrepreneur, a beard growth enthusiast, a taco bus connoisseur, and a digital marketing lover. Thank you so much for being here, Ryan. Take it away.
Hey guys, thank you so much. This is Ryan with Vulpine Marketing. Super grateful to be here. I just want to take a moment to thank Stukent and just say I really admire and love what they are doing for the digital marketing community. When I first began digital marketing, the greatest piece of advice for people who wanted to do digital marketing was to not study marketing in college, because the resources that they had available were just not really up to par and wouldn't actually be that helpful. But I really admire Stukent because I think the resources that they're providing students are really absolutely world class, and they're really, really helpful in giving students like more helpful, more kind of like lifelike experience than universities and colleges have had resources or access to before. So just want to say that first. So once again, I'm Ryan Joos with the Vulpine Marketing, brand new agency just started out not too terribly long ago. So just to kind of get to know me a little bit more, I've been married for several years, have two little boys and one on the way that we're super excited about. But you know, this whole Vulpine stuff, I just have to say that's kind of a side gig. Most important thing into my life is definitely my family. I've worked in digital marketing for several years. In particular, I focused really heavily in what's called local SEO or local search. And so my presentation today is going to be on Google My Business, aka GMB, is what it's really referred to pretty commonly in the industry. And it's been a huge portion of the work that I've done throughout my career. And there is an enormous industry that's really centered around this tool in particular that Google has provided. Really is amazing, so I'm excited to kind of share a little bit more about it. So what is it? Well, Google My Business is kind of like Google's business platform or business listing, essentially. There you can go and you can be able to find all the information that you need for a business. And the thing is, like, you have worked with these kind of platforms very, a lot of times throughout your life, and you probably aren't really necessarily aware that it is Google My Business. It's kind of comparable to Yelp. Is probably the closest other business that I can say. Used to be called Google Local, used to be called Google Places, and now it's currently called Google My Business. So business.google.com is kind of where you can find and get started with Google My Business. But you've already worked with it. You've already used it, I promise. So like, here's some kind of things that they do for you. You know, it provides quick business info for users, gets the address, the business hours, the contact info, and it also helps you be able to kind of compare businesses. You can look at their menu, can you look at their reviews, see their location to see if, okay, the number one priority is that this business is close to us. And it also can give you kind of a price range to help you understand how expensive this company's services might be. Here's an example of Google My Business in the wild, if you will, right? You've seen these before. When you're looking up a specific business and you type their brand name in Google, something like this will appear over on, the right-hand side there of Google, and you can have access to a bunch of really, really good information, right? You can see, photos. You can see the outside of the business. You can have access to their website. You can order delivery, which is kind of a new thing this particular business is doing in response to COVID-19. So it gives you access to pretty much everything you want to know about that particular location or that particular business. Here's another example of Google My Business. This is the local pack, excuse me. And what this allows you to do is be able to kind of compare these businesses, right? So if I'm looking for Indian food here in Idaho Falls, Idaho, where I'm located, well, here's the different restaurants that are providing Indian food. And then one outlier, because here in Idaho Falls, we don't have that many Indian places. But from this, you can be able to kind of compare the different businesses and kind of make that selection. You can read the reviews, you can look at the photos. There's a bunch of different things that you can do. You can even look at the location and kind of see, okay, well, I'm located over here, so what's the closest one to me if that's a particular important factor in your decision making. Another aspect of the Google My Business controls is Google Maps, right? So this is kind of what it looks like in the desktop form. I did Mexican food in Idaho Falls because once again, we don't have too many Indian food examples, so that was a pretty bad choice there. But you can kind of see here, you can see where they're located in Idaho Falls, and then the same kind of information that you had in the local pack there before that can help you make your decision. So this is Google My Business. So I guess the challenge that I would have for you is, like, Google My Business has really become an integral part of so many of our lives. So my challenge is, like, if you're in a new city or in a new location and you're trying to find a place to eat, try to do it without Google My Business or Yelp or other platforms like that. And you'll see how amazingly difficult it's become. So why does it matter? Let's talk about that. Google My Business is important because it can help you as a business, or help your clients as a business if you work for an agency, be found. In this particular example, this is Rove Pest Control. They're a pest control company in kind of Minnesota and expanding into other areas. And what's interesting is, when I was working with them, one time we saw there was a pretty dramatic dip year over year in the amount of people who were coming to their website from Minnesota. And they were kind of concerned. They said, what's going on here? Well, what we found is that more of their consumers were making that process without coming to the website, right? So they're getting these phone calls, all these things were happening without these actual visitors from their state. So it's been an interesting kind of shift over the years as people are adopting and using Google My Business more than they did before, right? Here's kind of another example of where this works. You can be found and you can be compared, right? If you search Burley, Idaho photographer, here's Brandy Tusher Photography, one of my good friends, one of my clients. And she stands out like a sore thumb in that market because she's really done well about using Google My Business to all the different tools and resources that are at her disposal she's using. So she stands out like crazy here because she has 40 reviews and the next closest one is 19, right? It's a pretty easy decision for these people to make. And they're making that decision by coming to this listing, by looking at their photos, in this particular example, in many of the visual different companies, looking at their photos, making that selection, making a phone call, all without ever coming to their website. So we spend all this time and resources and energy in making our websites look great, which is important, don't get me wrong. But what I saw with some of my clients was, as I looked into and I used call tracking, I could say that 60 to 75% of their first-time callers for these particular industries that they were in were happening directly from the Google My Business listing, and I don't have any information to say that they came to the website at any point. So Google My Business is really becoming the homepage or the face of your company. So how can I use Google My Business? All right, it's the face of my company. What kind of features are at my disposal? So the way to get started is go to business.google.com and then sign in and just create an account, right? Just kind of basic, you have to have a Google account to be able to use it. Kind of an important thing. You don't necessarily have to have a Gmail account. You can sign up for this business or sign up for a Google account even using like a Hotmail or a Yahoo account. But Gmail is pretty awesome, so I'd heavily recommend just doing that. So once you're in there, once you've logged into or created this account, this Google account, what you need to do is just type your business in. This is kind of an important first step. Like, look to see if your business doesn't already exist, because in many instances, if you're not a new company, Google already knows that your business exists and already has probably some pre-populated information that it found from some other resource, because they're really good at doing that kind of thing. But assuming, if you don't have any business listing already up and you don't need to claim an existing one, then you can go ahead and just create a brand new one. Once you've created it, the way that they kind of verify this, and they're coming out with more options, but the way that they've done this for the past like 8 years or so, probably 7, 8 years, is they do it by a postcard. They kind of say, Well, if you can get a piece of mail at your location, then that is a good way to verify that, yes, you actually at that location and you do have access there. So that's kind of important. So this card will come to you. It's great. You can have access to that and be able to verify the location. Once you do, you kind of go back to Google, you pop in that PIN code that's on that piece of mail, and you're good to go. So what are some of the GMB features that are at your disposal there? Well, this is kind of what the back end, this is kind of what the dashboard essentially looks like for Google My Business. As you can see here, for photographers in general, COVID-19 has been pretty bad, right? You can see that the amount of searches that's happening has gone down pretty significantly. But here you can have access to a bunch of different resources pretty darn quickly, right? You can create a post, which I'll talk about. You can add photos, or you can create an ad, which you'll see in a lot of these things that Google is really pushing you to kind of adopt their platforms or try to upsell you in quite a few ways. Like here's essentially an ad for Calljoy, and here's an ad for you to create a branded domain through Gmail, right? So, but there's a lot of different resources and a lot of different tools that are right here at your fingertips, and I'm going to go through several of them with you. Info. All right, so over on that left-hand side, kind of on that tab, there's the info one. So if you select that, you'll kind of come to an area that looks like this. And this is kind of the top portion, but there's a lot of information that you can put in here. You can put, this is where you put in your website. This is where you put in the areas that you serve. It's where you put your location. It's where you put in your primary business and your kind of like secondary or additional business categories. And these can be really, really important. So I want to make sure this is understood. This first category is very, very important. So, and Google puts a lot of weight into, or at least used to, I think they're kind of leaning away from it as heavily as they used to. But whatever your main business or your core component of your company that you really want to promote, it's important that you put that one first, right? So if you're a pizza company, or a pizza restaurant, but what you really specialize in is pizza delivery, then it's good and important to have that, say, pizza delivery as your primary category. And then you can have things like pizza restaurant and stuff like that below that are all kind of like additional or secondary business categories. But whatever that first one is, carries a significant amount of weight. Also, the service area is important. If you have this, but you put like Utah or something like that, I just have seen that many companies who try to have like a huge, pretty unreasonable service area that's like crazy large, generally they don't perform as well. And I think it's because Google's kind of like, yeah, right, you serve all of Utah. Tell me about it. So picking things like St. George, Utah is a lot more reasonable. You can also kind of say like what type of business you are. So if you are kind of a service that you go to different companies, then you can say that that's kind of how you operate, or you can say I service clients at my location and they need to come to me. So insights. There, once again, if you're in the Google My Business dashboard, there off to the side, there's a tab for insights, and you can kind of come in here, and this is kind of cool because you can see, how many customers search or kind of saw your business in maps or otherwise, right? And this is cool because it gives you some different information. This blue portion, or this blue kind of section of this pie chart, is discovery. So, if this was a physical therapist company, right? Physical therapy company there, and people were searching physical therapists near me, then that would bring up this blue portion, right? That would be considered a discovery. But if they are searching for your brand, or they're searching for your office location or your business name or something like that, like, Pick PT, which is one of my clients there in Rexburg, then that would go under direct or branded, right? Because those are people who are looking directly for your business, not necessarily looking for your business type, and then are kind of shopping around. So that's an important distinction there. It can also give you some cool information as far as like what people are using during this time period to be able to find your business. So you can see, obviously, physical therapy for this, and PT, kind of the acronym there used to summarize physical therapy. Those are some of the top ones. That makes sense, right? Some of these other ones, you can kind of say like dry needling. That's a service that these guys offer. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe we need to have a page on our website specifically dedicated to dry needling. Maybe we can get more people who are searching for this to be able to find our location, right? So there's a lot of information here that could be really, really helpful for you as you're trying to decide kind of how to promote and help your business. Also, you can kind of see this information is not killer. It's not 100% accurate. So that's kind of my disclaimer here, but Google My Business can even tell you how many people are seeing your Google listing and then coming to your website, right? So this example for this past month, 15 people did that. How many people requested driving directions? 10 people. How many people called you from the Google listing? 21 is what this one says. But what I found is that this data, especially the call data, is extremely flawed. It's extremely inaccurate. And the reason is because, well, the only way for them to really track that is if they're on a mobile device and they click to call. That's the only way that Google's really able to record whether or not that call happened. So I totally recommend doing call tracking because that can give you a little bit more accurate data as far as the amount of inquiries that are happening from your Google listings. You can also kind of see like what is the popular times there in your location, right? So, I'm sure you've kind of seen it when you're searching for a restaurant and, it kind of gives you a recommendation saying, oh, this location's pretty busy at this time. So that's kind of some helpful information there as well. Also, one of the big functionalities that's at your disposal through Google My Business is obviously reviews. And I showed the screenshot earlier, but Google My Business is so powerful because of the way that it can help consumers be able to compare businesses head to head, right? And as I'm looking in here and I'm seeing these two different Indian restaurants that are located here in Idaho Falls, the review ratings are pretty comparable, but I can see that Tandoori Oven, which is my personal favorite, has over 700 reviews. That's a pretty trusted resource in my opinion, right? We've all kind of become trained to kind of do this, with using Amazon and stuff like that. We're heavily looking at and considering reviews. And this is kind of the same thing, like if we're purchasing on Amazon versus if we are looking at Indian restaurants versus if we are looking for an HVAC contractor, if we're looking for a plumber or an attorney, we've really been trained to kind of use this similar process to accomplish that. So Google My Business is super awesome because people, you can request and you should be requesting reviews on your Google listing, right? Because it's going to help you try to become the obvious choice in your market, right? Like my friend Brandy there that had 40 reviews and the closest competitor had 19. She has done well about differentiating herself against her competition, and Google My Business is a powerful way to do that. Also, Google My Business does provide you the chance to be able to reply to reviews. So, here's some positive ones that on my Google listing from some clients, and they're just kind of saying, we love you, it's great working with you, really skilled, very personable, and it gives me a chance to be able to say, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to leaving a review. Now, on the other hand, if someone is to leave a bad review, it does give you the chance to be able to kind of defend yourself. You can't necessarily go into too much detail necessarily in that response, but I've seen many times that I've worked with divorce attorneys that they won, right? They help their clients get like 100% custody of the children and do some great things for their clients. And what I've seen many times where the spouses, or the ex-spouses, I should say, the non-prevailing party will leave reviews on that Google listing and say, this person is an absolute jerk and you shouldn't use them. And this gives you a chance to be able to say, hey, this person is just kind of salty because we just cleaned the floor with them in court, right? So it really is a powerful opportunity. And I recommend that every business be looking at their Google reviews and then responding to their Google reviews, be they positive or negative, because it shows potential consumers who are looking at these reviews that, hey, this person's pretty responsive. They're pretty engaged about their web presence. That's pretty important to me. So photos. Google My Business offers you the ability to showcase photos. It also, this is an important note, also gives the chance for consumers to be able to share their photos of your business, which can be great and it can be awful depending on what happens. Randomly had some consumers upload a bunch of pictures of their teeth, of their mouth, to one of my clients' listings. So as you look through their photos, there was just this random guy's teeth all over the listing, and we had to get them taken off. But if a client is able to showcase photos, like perhaps in their reviews, and just say, hey, this place, this restaurant has a wonderful ambiance, or here's the website that this company created for me, or here's some of the photos that this photographer took of my children. It really does provide a wonderful opportunity for you to be able to showcase your work, your staff, your office location, both inside and out, and just be able to give people a chance to be able to get to know you, because we are very visual creatures. And, as a photographer, this is money, right? For this particular client, this is a fantastic way to be able to have people look at their listings. And you can see here, some of these photos over here. These are actually my children, my wife. This particular photo had 3,000 views in the past year. This picture that we added in like 2017 has had like 4.6 thousand views. I mean, solid. Really a great way to be able to showcase what you guys do, the kind of work that you guys can deliver directly to the consumers as they're making that process of trying to decide who to go with, who to use as their photographer, or who to use as their web designer, or whatever. Another function that's really cool that's available to you is called Google Posts. And if you go in there, this is kind of what it looks like. There's a bunch of different ways that you can use this tool at your disposal. Right now, this is kind of a new one, right? COVID-19 update. So, if your business is shutting down for a little while due to the coronavirus, you can tell your consumers that. If you have a new offer, you're offering a discount or something like that, you can do that. An update, if you expanded your company, if you're opening up a new office, if you're hosting an event, if you have like a new product that you want to showcase, all those things you can do using Google Posts. They don't last terribly long, but they can be seen on your listings. Here's an example where you could kind of find it on a mobile device. Here's my listing here for Volpine Marketing. If you go to updates, you can kind of see some of the things I've shared. And for me, I just kind of use it as a short little blurb to kind of talk about what we're doing, kind of some of the values that we have, things like that. Here's Olive Avenue, also a boutique here located in Idaho Falls. And here they just showcased one of their new products and then offered a link so that users could go directly and buy it. Kind of an example, one of these COVID-19 updates. Here, IRMAC, or Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center, just had a little blurb about what was going on as far as kind of their policies in regards to COVID-19. So really, really cool things that are there at your disposal. Services. So here's an example of kind of what I did. You can kind of list the services that you offer, that you provide. And what will happen is those business categories that you add will kind of be these main section headers, essentially, right? So I'm a marketing agency, I'm a website designer, I'm a graphic designer, all those kind of things. But, I wanted to go into a little bit greater detail about like, okay, I'm a marketing agency, but what does that mean? What do I offer? And so I kind of just have some kind of under categories there, kind of some supplementary information on the types of services that I offer: search engine optimization, social media marketing, digital strategy, etc. So if there's a business category that what you guys do is a little unique, like maybe there's an overall category that might make sense, and then you can kind of go into a little bit greater detail about the services that you offer, and that's all kind of a service or a resource that's at your disposal using Google My Business. Products. This makes the most sense, if you're kind of like a boutique or you're kind of a retail company or something like that. But for this particular example, we actually use it for this photography friend of mine. She is amazing, but she is definitely the premium option in the market, right? I mean, she has the Google reviews to kind of justify. So what was happening was a lot of people were reaching out to her, and she would drop her prices, and there was this huge sticker shock. And it was kind of a big time suck for her to respond to all these people who were just kind of kicking the tires and weren't really, really interested or invested in kind of like some premium photography work. So we actually added their products, or added these technically really service onto the Google listing, so that people could kind of see her prices up front, so they wouldn't, if they could get past kind of that sticker shock, then they would reach out to her at that point, but wouldn't necessarily reach out beforehand, and not knowing necessarily what her prices would look like. So that has been helpful. A lot of people who are reaching out to her now are a little bit more educated on what her prices might be like, right? So fantastic. Also, this is, this is something that Google My Business has been offering for the last little while, is they actually have the ability to be able to create for you a website. And there are free website options that you can kind of host on their platform, essentially. Maybe you'll kind of see them, they're like business.sites.com. But here's an example of kind of this website that's essentially just populated using some of the information that is already in the Google listing. And there's a bunch of different templates that you can use, but you can get, a free or a really, really inexpensive website. And this is kind of what they look like. This is kind of how it appears if it's kind of auto-populated using the information there. You can kind of see the top header there just kind of shows the business name, has kind of an image, has some of the testimonials that are on the Google listing, and then a map, right? So really kind of a simple thing, but it's kind of a cool service that Google is offering businesses. And it's all done right there in Google My Business. So that's pretty much it. I've kind of gone through all the different resources and all the different tools that are right there at your disposal using Google My Business. So if you have any further questions, I'm totally happy to help facilitate that and answer anything that you might be wondering about. Please feel free to reach out to me via Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can. And that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me.